Welcome to the Shed and Shine podcast. I am Gino Wickman. This is where Rob Dube and I help driven entrepreneurs shed their shit, free their true selves, unlock true entrepreneurial freedom, and shine. We truly appreciate you taking the time to spend with us, and we hope to make a huge impact on you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Rob Dube, and I am here with my good friend, Gino Wickman. Gino, good to see you. How are you?
I am fantastic, my friend.
All right, fantastic. So today we're going to talk about gratitude, which I think you mentioned to me at one point could have been discipline number 10. Discipline number 10 to be humble, but sometimes I've heard you say
Correct.
It could have just as easily been be grateful.
Yep.
And, I thought, well, why was this pinging me? And it just seems like a simple subject, but why it's pinging me is because there are so many people that I speak with who do not have a daily practice or an intentional practice of gratitude. And what I usually hear them say to me is, I really should do that. And so I wanted to start, just to get your mind going, with a favorite story of mine from a person that I met named Elizabeth Boham. I've actually shared this story with you, so it'll be a little bit of a repeat. But Dr. Boham is a functional doctor, and she has a very successful practice in upstate New York. But growing up, she was a driven high performer at all times in her life. And she was in medical school, and she was learning how to do a self-exam for her breasts. And once you know it, she found a lump, and it turned out to be cancerous. And of course, she had to seek treatment, but in the meantime, as one of the top students in her class, she was humiliated and she felt shame because she felt like she should have been doing this much earlier in her life and wasn't. And here she was at the top of her class in medical school. And what it did was, not only did she have to kind of take time out and drop out of medical school for a period of time, but it also kind of had this emotional effect on her. And it took her to a really, really dark place. She was severely depressed. And luckily, she had a lot of people around her who were trying to help. They were giving her all kinds of suggestions. And one person, wouldn't you know it, said, "Do you have a daily gratitude practice that's intentional?" And she said, "I don't, but I'll try it." And so she grabbed a journal and started a gratitude journal. And she shares that, I think she says the first couple of months, every day she would lie.
And when I started doing it, I really had a hard time. I was really angry with, I was 30 at the time. I was really angry with this diagnosis. I was really angry that I was sick. I thought I was the healthy one, and that I had done everything right to take care of myself. I was focused on nutrition and exercise, and I had no family history. And so I couldn't figure out why this had happened to me. And so I wasn't really feeling that grateful at the time. I was kind of angry.
But then at some point, subtly, things started to shift. And she could write for a very long time about all the things that she was grateful for. And so I kind of start there because she says this gratitude practice, which she still has to this day, is the most powerful thing that she has in her life. So anyway, it can really shift your mindset. Anything come to mind for you?
Yeah, a few things. It's funny coming into this, because I knew we were going to talk about gratitude, had no idea where it was going to go. I had one thing written down, and now I have 6 things written down. So I'm going to do my best to manage them well and maybe save some and turn some back over to you. But, the reason that discipline number 10 could have just as easily been be grateful, it is obviously be humble. I believe they're interchangeable, because my discovery and realization is that it's utterly impossible to not be grateful and humble. In other words, the act of gratitude humbles you, brings out humility. And so I just believe they're interchangeable. Yeah, and so I always say, if you're struggling with being humble, just simply practice gratitude. What that then prompted is a dear friend of mine. I learned about this from a dear friend of mine in my early 30s. We were in Boulder, Colorado. We were hiking, and this lunatic is thanking the animals and thanking the trees. And I'm like, what in the fuck did I get myself into? And I only knew him for a year or two, so I didn't know him very well. And But what a lesson it was. And from that day forward, or within months of that, I just started a practice where every night when my head hits the pillow, I just simply say thank you. I do that every night. And sometimes I will get very specific. So I'm not going to be able to get into too many techniques, if you will, but I just say thank you to the higher power that I believe in. And that just seems to work. And it was a noticeable difference in my life. And I find that it keeps getting better. It's like every year, every decade, it keeps getting better. And I've been doing that now for 25 years. And then the third thing that came up is, and I wanted to add one more thing. With that, I just find myself being happier and happier as I practice that. Then I'm reminded of Dan Sullivan of the Strategic Coach. I've been in that program for over 25 years. He did a whole book or audio on gratitude. And I remember something he said in his teaching on gratitude, and he interchanged it with the word appreciation. And he talked about the psychology of appreciating things, because when you appreciate something, you're increasing them in value. Appreciate. And so, man, it's like that stuck with me. So it's like, to the degree you are grateful and appreciate things, make them more valuable, and like see them as more valuable. That was like an aha moment. Thank you, Dan Sullivan. And so that's what came to mind for me.
I love that. Appreciate it. I had not heard that before. You know, I was thinking about you because you've done all these sessions with these driven entrepreneurs and driven leadership team members. And I'm thinking to myself, it seems really obvious and really simple, as I mentioned at the outset. Is there anything that you've noticed over time in working with all these people, like what might be getting in their way from doing this simple practice, you know, in a intentional daily way like you do, where you just simply say it right when your head hits the pillow?
An assumption I have for anyone that resists it is, like, what comes to me is deserving, you know, like they're undeserving of abundance in their life. And so I have a feeling that might be a barrier for some, and also just finding something to be grateful for when times are tough or they're really busy, you know, like they just want to get to bed. Why pause for, 60 seconds and say thank you? Well, it takes about 5 seconds. So busyness and not feeling worthy or deserving are the two things that, intuitively are coming to mind for me.
I love that. No, that is so perfect. Now, I wanted to share a personal example of something that we started doing at Image One when I was running it, and that continues today. And it was at the end of our L10 meeting when we do the ranking, we also added in, and I'm sorry, this isn't pure, Gino. Don't get mad at me.
Here
I'm
we go.
Worried to even say it.
Here comes the edit. Get ready. So now you're all going to hear a stop and then a new topic coming up.
What we did was you say your number and something or someone you're grateful for.
Nice.
And
wow,
it
cool.
is really powerful.
That's cool.
We love doing it. Another example that I found in preparation for this was John Mackey, who's the founder of Whole Foods. Now, he's no longer running Whole Foods, but he was talking about gratitude. So it just happened to catch my ear when I heard him talking about it. And I'll just share some things that he shared. He said it was a core component to leading with empathy and purpose for him. Expressing appreciation to employees, customers, and stakeholders created a culture that was supportive, positive, and sustainable. It led him to deeper relationships with people on his team. And he says that he has a daily practice that is intentional. And he says that it helps him to maintain a more optimistic and centered outlook, which helps him with both personal and professional issues, in addition to using the 10 disciplines. No, I'm just kidding. One last thing that really resonated with me, and that is that gratitude leads to a deeper appreciation of life itself, which is what you just said that Dan Sullivan said. And that aligns with a focus for him on personal growth and conscious living. And that really resonated with me.
So then there's two other thoughts. One, I've been wrestling with whether I'm going to share it or not. and I'm going to.
It's the next thing on my list. I just have a feeling.
We're going to find out. I doubt it strongly. But I want to go back to that word I said about the people that maybe don't feel deserving, okay, or worthy of abundance and things and stuff. So I just, whenever that comes up for me, there's just something in my soul that just screams. I cannot tell you the sensation. And I'm talking to driven entrepreneurs out there, but this goes for all 8.5 billion of you out there on this planet. But talking to you, the listener, I just want you to know you deserve it. You deserve it. You deserve it. You deserve the money. You deserve the wealth. You deserve the people. You deserve the things. You deserve the business. You deserve greatness. You deserve a great life. You deserve it. And any part of you that doesn't feel that way, you got something to shed there because you deserve it. That driven soul deserves it. And then the thing I wrestle with, what the hell I'm going to share it. The thing, am I going to share this? So I say thank you every night, right? So in like I said, around 32, 33 years old is when I started saying thank you every night. And then it dawned on me, wow, I missed 32 years of not saying thank you every night. So I feel this need that I have to catch up. So I say my thank you every night. And then I add anywhere from 10 to 100 more to try and catch up for the 32 years that I missed.
Love that.
And I'm not fully caught up yet, but there's just something that's compelling me to make sure I say thank you for every day I've been on this planet. Wow. So I'm catching up. I'll get there by 85, but we're getting there.
Thank you for saying that. No, I'm glad you did share that. It wasn't the next thing on my list. You were right. Your doubt was correct.
I've never shared that with anybody on the planet. Are you kidding me?
But here's one thing you did share, and I wanted to ask you about this. And you said at some point, I heard you say, I laugh and I cry every day.
Yeah, I do. So it reminds me of... I've never really shared that up until recently. I started sharing it often, and I shared it. We were out with friends. We were out with two other couples, Kathy and I, and they're relatively newer friends, and they're still trying to figure out the wacky being that I am. And so somewhere in the conversation, we got on that somewhere around that subject. And I can't remember how it came out, but I just said, I laugh and I cry every day. And the silence and the discomfort at that table was fascinating to say the least. So with that said, yes, I laugh and I cry every day. And the cry is not like it's this, blubbering, tearful thing that goes on for 14 minutes. Sometimes it's just a very emotional. They're tears of joy. It's almost always tears of joy, but all forms of tears. And sometimes it's just seconds. And then I certainly laugh every day. I laugh multiple times a day. But that, when we talk about humility and gratitude, I think it's all in there because it's like I changed my office at home, cleared off all the shelves, and I replaced them. And I've never kept pictures. And it's like people that work for me I drive them crazy because I have no pictures of anybody in my family anywhere. And somebody made me do it once. Well, for whatever the reasons are for that, I put up like 15 pictures of family and friends and in my office. And it's like, I just did that in August. And every time I look at those, it brings a tear to my eye, very joyful tear. And, and that's where I meditate in that room. And anyway, I laugh and cry every day.
Yeah, I love it. And I do too. I just wanted to say that. But one thing that I notice about myself, and I'm thinking about it as you're talking, tears don't come out. I wonder if I need to check into that.
Well, I'm going to punch you in the gut. I promise I can get a tear out of you. I'll get a tear
figure
out
out if there's something about the tears.
I had my body work. I work it on my jaw, and I was tearing up. That hurt so bad. So maybe have somebody work on your jaw.
Right,
but
from
tears should come out. So I'd get that checked. Hopefully
like
your tear ducts.
crying?
Hopefully your tear ducts work. But tears should come out.
I was wondering if there's something else going on there. Just another layer. When am I done with this?
Maybe.
All right. I had one more thing on gratitude that I thought was kind of cool. It's from Michael Singer, and I think about this all the time. My wife and I go on daily walks, and I always say to her this. I say, you know how far the sun is? It's 93 million miles away. Michael Singer, I learned that from him because he says it often. And it's pretty miraculous. But one time I heard him use this example. He lives in the northern part of Florida. I think it might be Gainesville, and it's a few hundred miles away from Miami. And so he says, get this, if the entire city of Miami was on fire, I wouldn't feel 1 ounce of heat from that. But here's this sun, this ball of energy, 93 million miles away. And sometimes I'm sitting there and I say, I'm too hot. So I just love that he says that because, there's just so much wonder in that. And when I think about that, like in a more broad scale and more broadly in life, I don't know, there's some sort of perspective around gratitude for me there.
So cool.
Yeah. Gino, anything else coming up for you?
I've got nothing else for you.
That's perfect because we're out of time.
Perfect.
All right. So thanks again, as always, to each and every one of you for joining us. We look forward to seeing you next time, and stay focused and much love.
Thank you for listening in today. We truly appreciate you taking the time to spend with us, and please tune in for the next episode. Until then, if you'd like to see where you are on your true self journey, go to shedandshinepodcast.com to take the true self assessment and receive personalized guidance. If you're all ready to begin your inner world journey with Rob and myself, please join us for the next round of the 10 Disciplines Group Coaching Program. We wish you all the best in freeing your true self. Stay focused and much love.